NBA YoungBoy, one of the biggest artists in the game, billions of streams, millions of fans, generational talent. But behind all that success, there's a wound that never healed. A betrayal that cuts deeper than any beef, any case, any loss. His own mother. That's right. The woman who gave birth to him, the woman who was supposed to protect him, the woman he should have been able to trust more than anybody, allegedly used him for his money, abandoned him when he had nothing, then came running back when the checks started clearing. And the craziest part? NBA YoungBoy's real mother figure wasn't even his biological mom. It was his grandmother, the woman who raised him, the woman who loved him when nobody else did, the woman he calls mama to this day. This ain't just gossip, fam. This is documented, public. YoungBoy himself has spoken about it, and what we're about to break down exposes one of the ugliest truths about fame and family. Sometimes, the people closest to you only love you for what you can give them. By the end of this video, you're gonna understand exactly how YoungBoy got used, who really raised this YN, the public beef between him and his mother, and why he learned the hardest lesson in life. Sometimes the people who's supposed to love you most only love what you can give them. Stick around to the end because what happened between them publicly, that's some painful shit that every successful person needs to hear. Let's get into it. The Baton Rouge beginning. To understand how this whole situation went down, we gotta go all the way back to the trenches, fam. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, October 20th, 1999. That's when Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden, NBA YoungBoy, was born into straight poverty, gang. Now, Baton Rouge ain't no joke, homie. We talking about one of the most dangerous cities in America. High poverty, high murder rate, ops on every corner type timing. The type of place where if you born into struggle, you stay in struggle unless you find a way out through sports, music, or the streets. And YoungBoy, Lil Bro was born into the deepest struggle you can imagine. For real. His pops wasn't around, locked up doing time. YoungBoy grew up without a father figure, without that male guidance, without someone to show him how to be a man. That's already putting you at a disadvantage from jump, no cap. But it gets worse, gang. His mother, Shahonda Gaulden, was real young when she had him, still figuring out her own life type shit. And according to everything YoungBoy has said publicly over the years, she wasn't ready to be a mother, wasn't equipped to raise a child, wasn't present in the way a child needs their mother to be on that timing. Now, I ain't here to completely villainize Shorty for being a young mother. That's hard as hell, for real. Raising a kid when you barely an adult yourself in one of the most dangerous cities in America, with no pops in the picture and no money, that's damn near impossible, gang. But here's what we do know from YoungBoy's own words and from public records. Shahonda struggled with her own issues. She wasn't consistently in YoungBoy's life. And when she was around, the relationship was complicated, strained, dysfunctional type shit. So who raised NBA YoungBoy? Who was there for Lil Homie when his mother wasn't? Who fed him, clothed him, loved him, protected him? His grandmother, Alice Gaulden. YoungBoy calls her Mama, fam. Not his biological mother, his grandmother, because that's who raised him. That's who was there. That's who loved him unconditionally when nobody else did. No cap. Alice took in this young boy when she didn't have to, gang. She was already older, already raised her own kids, could have been living her life in peace, but she saw her grandson needed somebody. So she stepped up, became his mother, his father, his everything for real. YoungBoy has talked about this in interviews, in songs, on social media, how his grandmother was the only person who really loved him growing up, how she was the one who made sure he had food, who made sure he stayed out of trouble as much as possible, who gave him structure when everything else in his life was chaos type shit. She wasn't just taking care of him out of obligation, fam. She loved him, saw potential in him, believed in him when nobody else did. That's real love, gang. That's what a parent is supposed to be, on God. Meanwhile, his biological mother, Shahonda, according to YoungBoy, she was in and out of his life, there when it was convenient, gone when it wasn't, not providing, not protecting, not being the mother he needed. No cap. And that creates wounds, homie, deep psychological wounds that don't heal easy. When the person who's supposed to love you most in this world ain't there for you, that shapes how you see relationships, how you trust people, how you move through life, for real. YoungBoy grew up feeling abandoned, feeling unloved by his own mother, feeling like he wasn't good enough, wasn't worth sticking around for. And those feelings, they show up in his music constantly, gang. The pain, the abandonment, the trust issues, it's all there if you listen type shit. Alice Gaulden, the real mother. Let me break it down for you about Alice Gaulden because her story is crucial to understanding YoungBoy's whole situation, fam. Alice wasn't wealthy. She wasn't living comfortable. Shorty was struggling herself, trying to make ends meet in Baton Rouge, but she took on the responsibility of raising her grandson anyway, gang. That's sacrifice. That's love. That's real gangsta shit right there, no cap. She did everything a mother is supposed to do for real. Made sure he ate. Made sure he went to school until he eventually dropped out. Tried to keep him away from the streets and the ops. Gave him guidance and wisdom, and most importantly, she showed him what unconditional love looks like, type shit. YoungBoy has said multiple times that his grandmother is the only person who ever really loved him, gang. The only person who was there no matter what, whether he had money or not, whether he was famous or not, whether he was in jail or free. She loved him just for being her grandson, not for what he could give her, not for what he could do for her. Just pure, unconditional love, no cap. That's why he calls her mama, fam, because in every way that matters, she is his mother. Biology don't mean nothing if you ain't doing the work for real. And Alice did the work. She raised that boy from a YN to a man. There's videos of YoungBoy talking about his grandmother with so much love and respect, gang. You can hear it in his voice, see it in his eyes. She's his everything, his foundation, the one person he knows for sure has his back on that timing. And in his music, man, he references her constantly, type shit. Talks about how she kept him grounded, how she's the only one who believed in him, how he's doing all this, making all this money, achieving all this success for her. To give her the life she deserves after everything she did for him, no cap. That's the relationship that should have been with his biological mother, fam. But it wasn't. And that's where all that pain comes from, for real. The absent mother. So, where was Shahonda Golden during all this, gang? Where was YoungBoy's biological mother while his grandmother was raising him? Based on YoungBoy's own statements and public information, she was dealing with her own life, her own issues, her own struggles, type shit. She wasn't consistently present, wasn't consistently providing, wasn't consistently being a mother, no cap. Now, here's where it gets complicated, fam, because we don't have Shahonda's side of the story in full detail. We don't know all the circumstances of why she wasn't more involved in YoungBoy's early life. Maybe she was dealing with addiction. Maybe she was in toxic relationships with some goofy dudes. Maybe she had mental health issues. Maybe she simply wasn't ready to be a mother and made the difficult decision to let her mother raise him, for real. We don't know all that, gang, and I'm not here to completely cook Shorty without knowing the full story, but what we do know is the impact her absence had on YoungBoy, homie. The abandonment issues, the trust issues, the feeling that his own mother didn't want him. That's documented, that's real, and that shaped who he became, no cap. YoungBoy has talked about growing up feeling unloved, fam. Feeling like he had to fend for himself against the ops and the streets. Feeling like nobody cared if he lived or died except his grandmother. That's the mindset that pushed him into the streets, for real. That's the pain that pushed him into music type shit. And when you grow up like that, when your own mother ain't there for you, it creates this deep wound that affects everything, gang. Your relationships with women, your ability to trust, your understanding of what love is supposed to look like on that timing. We see this play out in YoungBoy's life constantly, no cap. The toxic relationships, the baby mama drama, the inability to maintain stable partnerships. A lot of that stems from not having a stable mother figure growing up, fam. From learning early that the people who claim to love you can abandon you, for real. YoungBoy's rise. So YoungBoy is growing up in Baton Rouge, raised primarily by his grandmother, feeling abandoned by his mother gang. And like a lot of young homies in his situation, he turned to the streets. He's talked about this publicly, fam. How he started getting into trouble as a teenager. How he was doing whatever it took to survive. How he dropped out of school in 9th grade because the streets were calling and he needed money type shit. But YoungBoy had something a lot of YNs in his situation don't have. Talent, no cap, raw, undeniable musical talent that couldn't be denied, for real. He started rapping as a teenager, gang, nothing professional at first, just recording on cheap equipment, freestyling with his homies, expressing his pain through music. But people noticed. Local people in Baton Rouge started talking about this young kid who could really rap type shit, who had that voice, who had that pain in his lyrics that you can't fake. Rouge started talking about this young kid who could really rap type shit, who had that voice, who had that pain in his lyrics that you can't fake, on that timing. 2015, 2016, YoungBoy is maybe 16, 17 years old and he's dropping mixtapes, fam. Life before fame, mind of a menace. Raw street music that documented his real life. The pain, the struggle, the streets, the absence of love. And the music started catching, gang. YouTube views started climbing. Local buzz turned into regional attention. YoungBoy was building a fan base purely off raw talent and authentic storytelling, for real. No industry connections, no major label, just a kid from Baton Rouge with a microphone and pain to express type shit. By 2017, YoungBoy is getting real attention, homie. 38 baby drops and it's undeniable. The streets love it, the industry notices, labels start calling, and suddenly this teenager who grew up with nothing, who was abandoned by his mother, who was raised in poverty by his grandmother, he's got opportunities, no cap. He signs with Atlantic Records, fam. Gets a real budget, real promotion. And when Outside Today drops in 2018, that's when he officially blows up, gang. Top 40 hit, millions of streams. NBA YoungBoy becomes a household name, for real. By 2018, 2019, YoungBoy is one of the biggest artists in hip-hop type shit. Still a teenager, but making millions. His YouTube channel is getting billions of views. At one point, the most viewed artist on YouTube, bigger than Drake, bigger than anybody, no cap. The kid from Baton Rouge who had nothing now has everything, fam. Money, fame, success, cars, houses, jewelry. Everything he never had growing up on that timing. And now here's where the story gets ugly, gang, because guess who suddenly wants to be back in his life? Guess who's suddenly very interested in being his mother again? Shirhonda Galden. That's some goofy timing, for real. The return of the mother. So YoungBoy blows up, gang. He's making millions. He's famous, he's successful, and suddenly his mother Shirhonda is very present, type shit. Now, to be fair, there's no exact timeline of when Shorty came back around, fam. But what we do know from YoungBoy's statements in social media is that once he got money, his mother's involvement in his life significantly increased. That's facts, no cap. And that's a pattern we see all the time, homie. People who weren't there when you had nothing suddenly show up when you got something, for real. Family members who ignored you when you was broke suddenly want to be close when the checks start clearing. That's some goofy shit, gang. For a minute, it looked like maybe they were rebuilding their relationship type shit. There's pictures from around 2018, 2019 of YoungBoy with his mother. They on Instagram together. She's at his shows. She's posting about being proud of him. It looks like maybe they working things out, no cap. And YoungBoy, because he's still her son, because he still craves that mother-son relationship, probably wanted to believe she genuinely cared, fam. Wanted to believe she came back because she loved him, not because of the money, for real. But here's where it gets interesting, gang. Shirhonda starts being very public about being NBA YoungBoy's mom type shit. She's doing interviews. She's on social media heavy. She's positioning herself as this proud mother who always supported her son on that timing. And people who know the real story, people from Baton Rouge, people close to YoungBoy's grandmother, people who saw how he really grew up, they not buying it, no cap. They seeing what's really happening, fam. This woman who wasn't consistently there is now trying to claim credit for his success. That's some goofy moves right there, for real. Meanwhile, Alice, the grandmother who actually raised him, is still in the background, gang. Still humble, still just loving her grandson, not seeking attention, not trying to profit off his fame, just being there like she always was type shit. And YoungBoy sees this, homie. He's not stupid. He sees the difference between his grandmother's unconditional love and his mother's conditional involvement, no cap. He sees that one loves him for him and the other loves what he can provide, for real. The breaking point. So tensions are building, gang. YoungBoy is getting more successful, more money coming in, more pressure, more people in his ear, and his relationship with his mother is getting more strained, type shit. The breaking point came publicly through social media, fam. And when I say it got ugly, I mean it got ugly, no cap. There's been multiple incidents over the years where YoungBoy and his mother Shirhonda have gone at it publicly, gang, airing out their issues on Instagram, saying things that should have stayed private. And each time, it exposes more of the dysfunction in their relationship, for real. One of the major incidents happened when YoungBoy accused his mother of only caring about his money, homie. He posted about how she wasn't there when he had nothing, but now that he's got everything, she wants to be involved. He called her out for being fake, for using him. That's some painful shit to put out there, type timing. And that's painful, fam. That's a son publicly saying his own mother don't really love him, no cap, that she's just using him for financial gain. Imagine having to come to that realization about your own mother, gang. Imagine feeling so hurt and betrayed that you gotta put that out there publicly because you got nobody else to turn to for real. Shurhanda responded to some of this publicly as well, defending herself type shit, saying she always loved her son, that she did the best she could, that people don't understand her situation. And maybe some of that is true, homie. Maybe she did do the best she could with the circumstances she was in, no cap. But from YoungBoy's perspective, the damage is done, fam. He grew up feeling abandoned. He grew up with his grandmother as his real mother. And now that he's successful, having his biological mother come back around and act like she was always there, that feels like manipulation, gang. That feels like betrayal, for real. Another major incident was when YoungBoy's team or family members allegedly tried to control his money type shit. There were rumors, and again, these are rumors, but they've been widely discussed, no cap, that people close to him, possibly including his mother, were trying to access his finances, trying to control his accounts, trying to benefit from his success without his consent, fam. If that's true, that's not just betrayal, homie. That's exploitation. That's treating your son like an ATM machine instead of a human being. That's some goofy-ass moves right there, for real. YoungBoy has also talked about people stealing from him, gang. People he trusted taking money that wasn't theirs. And while he hasn't always specified exactly who, the context and timing of these statements often coincided with issues involving his mother, no cap. The public fallout. The public fallout between NBA YoungBoy and his mother Shurhanda has played out over social media multiple times, fam, and each time it gets messier type shit. There was a period where YoungBoy completely cut her off, gang, unfollowed her on social media, stopped mentioning her, stopped including her in his life publicly, and that speaks volumes, no cap, because YoungBoy is someone who wants family, who values loyalty. The fact that he felt he had to cut off his own mother means the situation was serious for real. Shurhanda, on her end, has done interviews and made posts trying to defend her reputation, homie, trying to explain her side, saying that she's being portrayed unfairly, that she loves her son, that people don't understand the full story type timing. And look, maybe there is more to the story, fam. Maybe she was dealing with things we don't know about that prevented her from being a consistent mother when YoungBoy was young. Maybe she's genuinely trying to have a relationship with her son now, and it's more complicated than just money, no cap. But the optics are bad, gang. The timeline is suspicious as hell, for real. You weren't around consistently when he was broke and struggling. You show up when he's rich and famous. You start positioning yourself publicly as NBA YoungBoy's mom and doing interviews and building your own platform off his name. And then when he calls you out, you get defensive. That don't look good, homie. That's some goofy timing right there type shit. And the streets notice, fam, fans notice, people from Baton Rouge who know the real story notice, no cap. They see what's happening. They see a mother who's using her son's fame for her own benefit for real. Meanwhile, Alice, the grandmother, stays out of the drama, gang, stays humble, stays in her lane because she don't need to prove nothing to nobody. Type timing. She knows what she did. She knows she raised that boy. She knows her love was real. She don't need Instagram validation or interviews to feel good about her relationship with her grandson. No cap. That's the difference between real love and conditional love, fam. Real love don't need publicity. Real love don't need credit. Real love just is for real. The broader impact. Now let's talk about how this situation with his mother has impacted NBA YoungBoy beyond just that relationship, gang. Because this kind of betrayal, it affects everything, no cap. First, it reinforces his trust issues, fam. YoungBoy already had abandonment issues from growing up without consistent parental love, but to have his mother come back around when he got money, only to allegedly use him, that confirms his worst fears about people type shit. It tells him that nobody can be trusted, that everyone wants something from him, that love is always conditional, for real. We see this play out in his relationships constantly, homie. The baby mama drama, the toxic partnerships, the inability to maintain stable, healthy relationships. A lot of that stems from not learning what healthy love looks like as a child, gang. From learning that even your own mother will use you, no cap. Second, it affects his mental health, fam. YoungBoy has been open about struggling with depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, type timing. A lot of that is connected to trauma, childhood trauma, street trauma, legal trauma. But the betrayal by his mother, that's a wound that don't heal easy, gang. That's the type of pain that stays with you forever, for real. Third, it affects how he moves in the industry, homie. YoungBoy is notoriously difficult to work with according to industry people, no cap. He don't trust labels, he don't trust managers, he don't trust business partners. He'd rather do everything independently because he's been burned so many times by people he thought he could trust, type shit. And can you blame him, fam? If your own mother will use you for money, why would you trust some record executive who don't know you and just sees dollar signs? That's real talk, gang. Fourth, it affects his music, no cap. A lot of YoungBoy's best songs are about pain, betrayal, and abandonment, for real. These songs are him processing trauma through art, type timing. And a lot of that trauma is family-related, homie. It's about feeling alone even though he's surrounded by people. About feeling used even though he's successful. About the pain of not being able to trust anyone, not even family, gang. His music resonates with millions of people because it's real, fam. It's authentic pain, no cap. And unfortunately, a lot of that pain comes from his relationship with his mother, for real. The music don't lie, how pain became profit. Now let's talk about something that really shows the depth of this mother-son wound. Fam, YoungBoy's actual music, no cap. Because if you really listen to his catalog, the pain is everywhere, gang. Songs like Lonely Child, I Ain't Hiding, Murder Business, Lost Motives. These ain't just random bars, homie. These are therapy sessions put on beats, for real. YoungBoy is processing generational trauma, abandonment issues, and family betrayal in real time through his music type shit. Take Lonely Child, for example, gang. That whole track is about growing up feeling isolated, feeling like nobody really got his back except his grandmother. No cap. He talks about how he had to become a man way too early because there was no father figure and his mother wasn't consistently there, fam. That's raw vulnerability most rappers won't show, for real. Or look at Casey Talk, where he's literally having a conversation with his daughter about his own childhood trauma, type timing. He's telling her how he grew up, warning her about fake love, explaining why he has trust issues. That's a man trying to break generational curses, gang. That's a father who don't want his kids to feel the same abandonment he felt, no cap. And here's what makes YoungBoy different from a lot of artists, homie. He don't sugarcoat nothing, for real. He'll tell you straight up his mama wasn't there. He'll tell you he got trust issues. He'll tell you he don't believe in love because the first woman who was supposed to love him let him down type shit. That's that Baton Rouge honesty, fam. No filter, no corporate polish, just pain and truth, gang. His fans connect with this on a spiritual level, no cap. Because millions of people grow up in broken homes, for real. Millions of people got absent parents. Millions of people know what it feels like when a family member only shows up when you got something they want, homie. YoungBoy's music gives voice to that pain, type timing. But here's the crazy part that people don't talk about enough, fam. YoungBoy's pain made him rich, gang. His trauma became his product. The same abandonment that hurt him as a child is now the source of his wealth, no cap. Every stream of a song about his mother is money in his pocket. Every view of a music video about feeling unloved is building his empire, for real. That's a mindfuck when you think about it, homie. The wound that never healed is the same wound that made him a multimillionaire type shit. And his mother, who wasn't there to help create a healthy childhood, is now potentially benefiting from the pain her absence caused. That's some twisted irony right there, gang. In songs like Untouchable, YoungBoy raps about feeling isolated even in success, fam. About how money don't fix the pain from childhood. About how he can have millions in the bank but still feel that emptiness from not having his mother's love, no cap. That's deep psychological trauma being processed in 3-minute tracks, for real. And the wildest part? His most successful songs are often his most painful ones, gang. The tracks where he's most vulnerable, most honest about his wounds. Those are the ones that go viral, type timing. That tells you something about his audience, homie. They not just here for the flexing and the street talk. They here for the real emotions, the raw honesty, the unfiltered pain, no cap. YoungBoy's discography is basically an audio diary of his trauma, fam. You can track his mental state, his relationship issues, his family drama, all through his music for real. Albums like AI YoungBoy 2, Top, Sincerely Kentrell, these projects are full of references to feeling used by family, feeling abandoned, not knowing who to trust, gang. The cycle of broken families in hip-hop. Let's zoom out for a second, fam, because YoungBoy's story ain't unique in hip-hop, no cap. This pattern of broken families, absent parents, and people using successful artists for money, that's a tale as old as the genre itself, gang. Look at Jay-Z and his father abandoning him type timing. That pain shaped his entire worldview, his hustle mentality, his trust issues. He's talked about it in songs for decades, homie. Where I'm From, Moment of Clarity, Legacy, all dealing with that father wound for real. Look at Eminem and his mother Debbie, fam. That relationship was so toxic that M made multiple songs dissing his own mother, gang. Cleaning Out My Closet, My Mom, tracks that exposed alleged abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And later in his career, Headlights, where he expressed regret for going so hard at her publicly, no cap. That's the same cycle of pain, anger, and complicated feelings YoungBoy is going through type shit. Look at Tupac and Afeni Shakur, homie. Now their story had a different ending because Afeni got clean and they rebuilt their relationship for real. But there was a period where Pac was dealing with his mother's addiction, feeling abandoned, raising himself on the streets. He talks about it in Dear Mama, which is one of the most honest mother-son songs ever made, gang. The pain is there even in the love, no cap. The point is this, fam. Hip-hop is full of artists who grew up in broken homes with absent or dysfunctional parents, and then had to deal with family members trying to cash in once they made it, type timing. It's almost a requirement for the genre at this point, gang. You gotta have that pain to make that real music, for real. But what makes YoungBoy's situation particularly painful is how public it is, homie. Most artists keep that family drama somewhat private, no cap. But YoungBoy and his mother have aired out their issues on social media multiple times. The whole world has watched this family dysfunction play out in real time type shit. That's gotta be exhausting for everyone involved, fam. And here's something else to consider, gang. How much of this public beef is actually hurting YoungBoy's ability to heal? Because every time he posts about it, every time his mother responds, every time fans pick sides and comment, that wound gets ripped open again. No cap. It's like trying to let a cut heal while people keep poking at it for real. Maybe that's why YoungBoy eventually tries to pull back from social media and stay more private, homie, because the public nature of these family issues makes them impossible to resolve. Type timing. How you gonna have a genuine heart-to-heart with your mother when millions of people are watching and commenting? That's tough, gang. Think about all the rappers who came before YoungBoy with similar stories, fam. Biggie dealing with his mother's strict upbringing versus his street life. Lil Wayne essentially being raised by Birdman instead of his biological parents. Gucci Mane's complicated relationship with his family. These stories repeat because the circumstances that create hip-hop talent, poverty, broken homes, survival mode, also create these family dynamics. No cap. And what's crazy is that the industry profits off this pain, gang. Record labels want artists with trauma because that trauma creates authentic music that sells, for real. They want the struggle story for marketing purposes. They want the broken home narrative because it's relatable and it moves units type shit. So in a way, YoungBoy's mother's absence accidentally created the very thing that made him valuable to the music industry, homie. His pain became his product. His trauma became his talent. And now everyone, from streaming platforms to record labels to even his own mother, wants a piece of that. No cap. The financial manipulation, following the money. Now let's talk about something we touched on but need to go deeper into, fam. The money situation. No cap. Because that's where a lot of the real betrayal happened, gang. When YoungBoy first started making serious money, we talking millions from album sales, streaming, shows, merch, all that, he was still young, type shit, like 18, 19, 20 years old. And at that age, even if you mature fast because of the streets, you still don't fully understand how to manage millions of dollars, for real. So who do most young artists turn to for help managing their finances, homie? Family, gang, because you trust family, right? You think blood means loyalty, no cap. But that's where a lot of young artists get cooked, fam. There's been allegations. And again, we ain't in court, so these are allegations based on what's been publicly discussed. That people in YoungBoy's circle, then suddenly money starts disappearing. Large transfers nobody can explain. Credit cards being maxed out, houses being purchased in other people's names. And by the time the artist realizes what happened, hundreds of thousands or even millions could be gone. For real. Now, I can't say for certain this happened with YoungBoy and his mother specifically, fam, but the pattern is there, gang. The timeline matches. And YoungBoy himself has made enough statements about people stealing from him, about family using him, about having to cut off blood relatives, that something clearly went down type shit. And here's what makes it extra painful, no cap. When it's your mother doing this, you can't just cut them off and move on like you would with a shady business partner, homie. That's your mom, for real. Even if she hurt you, even if she used you, even if she stole from you, that's still the woman who gave birth to you, gang. There's always going to be a part of you that wants that relationship to work, that wants to believe she really loves you, that wants a real mother type timing. So you end up in this toxic cycle, fam. You cut her off because she hurt you, then you feel guilty, then you let her back in, then she hurts you again, then you cut her off again, and the cycle continues, no cap. That's trauma bonding at its finest, gang. That's what happens when the person who's supposed to protect you is the same person hurting you, for real. Look at how many young rappers go through this exact situation, homie. They blow up overnight, suddenly got millions, and family members they barely heard from start calling type shit. Cousins who never came around want loans, uncles who weren't at birthdays suddenly got business opportunities, and mothers who weren't present start acting like they were always there, gang. It's a predatory pattern, fam. And the artists, because they still crave family connection, because they don't want to be seen as abandoning their people, because they're told you can't forget where you came from, they give in, no cap. They give people access, they fund lifestyles, they buy houses and cars, and then they realize too late that they're being drained, for real. YoungBoy has talked in interviews about learning the hard way that everyone got their hand out type timing, about how success revealed people's true intentions, about how he had to become paranoid about money because too many people were trying to take advantage, homie. That's not just street talk, gang. That's a young man dealing with financial exploitation from the people who's supposed to love him. No cap. The grandmother's unwavering love. Through all of this drama, through all the betrayal and pain, there's been one constant in NBA YoungBoy's life. Gang. His grandmother Alice. No cap. She's never wavered, fam, never used him, never exploited him, never sought attention or credit. She just loves her grandson unconditionally, the same way she did when he was broke and unknown type shit. That's real gangsta moves right there, for real. YoungBoy makes sure his grandmother is taken care of, homie. Bought her a house, makes sure she has everything she needs. And he does this not out of obligation, but out of genuine love and gratitude, gang. Because she earned it, because she was there when nobody else was, no cap. In interviews, when YoungBoy talks about his grandmother, his whole demeanor changes, fam. He softens. You can hear the love in his voice, the respect, the appreciation. That's what a real mother-son relationship looks like, type timing. Alice represents everything his biological mother should have been. Gang. Selfless, consistent, loving, protective. She gave him a foundation when he had nothing, for real. She believed in him when nobody else did. She loved him when he was unlovable, no cap. And now that he's successful, she don't ask for nothing, homie. She don't need the spotlight. She don't need to do interviews or be on Instagram. She just happy her grandson made it, fam. That he escaped the streets and the ops. That he's alive and successful and taking care of his kids type shit. That's real love, gang. That's what family is supposed to be, for real. And YoungBoy knows the difference, no cap. He knows who really loved him and who just loved his money. That's why he calls Alice mama and has a complicated, strained relationship with Shirhonda, homie. The current state of their relationship. So where does the relationship between NBA YoungBoy and his mother Shirhonda stand today, gang? It's complicated, fam. There's been periods where they seem to be on better terms type shit. Periods where she's back in his life, appearing in family photos, being included in events. And then there's periods where they clearly beefing, where she's posting cryptic things and he's posting cryptic things and you can tell they not good, no cap. As of now, from what's publicly visible, they appear to have some kind of relationship, homie, but it don't seem close. It don't seem like the mother-son bond you'd expect for real. It seems more like two people connected by blood who tolerate each other but don't fully trust each other, type timing. And maybe that's the best it can be given everything that's happened, gang. Maybe they'll never have a truly healthy relationship because too much damage has been done. No cap. Too much betrayal. Too much pain, fam. Shahanda is still on social media, still positioning herself as YoungBoy's mother, still doing interviews occasionally about her son, type shit. And that bothers people who know the real story because it feels performative, for real. It feels like she's still trying to benefit from his fame, gang. That's some goofy moves, homie. But maybe, and I'm trying to be fair here, no cap, maybe she's genuinely trying to rebuild that relationship. Maybe she regrets not being more present when he was young. Maybe she's doing the best she can now to be a mother to him, even though it's complicated, fam. I don't know, gang. None of us know what really goes on behind closed doors for real. But what we do know is the public perception, type shit, that NBA YoungBoy's biological mother wasn't there when he needed her most, came back around when he got money, and has been involved in drama and controversy ever since, no cap. Meanwhile, his grandmother Alice continues to be his rock homie, his foundation, his real mother. And that's the relationship that matters most, for real. The lessons we can learn. So what's the lesson here, gang? What can we take away from NBA YoungBoy's story about his mother? First, biology don't mean nothing if you ain't putting in the work, fam. Being a parent is more than just giving birth, no cap. It's showing up, being present, loving unconditionally, sacrificing for your child, type shit. Alice did all of that even though she wasn't his biological mother, for real. Shahanda didn't, even though she was, homie. Second, be careful who you trust when you get money and fame, gang. Because people change, no cap. Or more accurately, people show you who they really are when there's something to gain, fam. YoungBoy's mother wasn't consistently there when he was broke. She came around when he got rich. That tells you everything about her motivation, type timing. Third, unconditional love is rare, homie. When you find someone who loves you for you, not for what you can give them, hold on to that person, gang. Protect that relationship, for real. Because most people's love is conditional, no cap. Most people will abandon you when times get hard or use you when you got something they want, type shit. Fourth, childhood trauma shapes everything, fam. YoungBoy's trust issues, his relationship problems, his mental health struggles. A lot of that stems from not having consistent parental love growing up, gang. That's not an excuse for his behavior, but it's an explanation, no cap. Understanding someone's trauma helps you understand why they move the way they move, for real. Fifth, you can't force relationships that aren't meant to be, homie. YoungBoy probably wishes he had a healthy relationship with his biological mother, type timing. But you can't force someone to genuinely love you, fam. You can't make someone be the parent they should have been. Sometimes you just gotta accept reality and move on, gang. Conclusion. So there you have it, fam. The complete story of how NBA YoungBoy was used by the one person he thought he could trust. His own mother, no cap. Shahanda Galden wasn't consistently there when he was growing up, gang. His grandmother Alice raised him, loved him, and became his real mother, for real. But when YoungBoy blew up and started making millions, Shahanda came back around, type shit. And the relationship has been rocky ever since, with public accusations of her using him for money and only being involved when it benefited her, homie. This ain't just gossip, fam. This is documented through YoungBoy's own words, through social media, through the timeline of events, no cap. And it's one of the saddest stories in hip-hop because it's about betrayal by the person who's supposed to love you most, for real. But through all the pain, there's been one constant, gang, Alice. The grandmother who stepped up when nobody else did, type timing. The woman who loved him unconditionally. The woman he calls mama, because that's what she is, no cap. That's the real story, homie. That's the truth behind NBA YoungBoy's pain. And that's why he moves the way he moves. Because he learned early that even family will use you if you let them, fam. Real recognize real. And he knows who kept it 100 with him from day one, for real. What y'all think about NBA YoungBoy's situation with his mother, gang? Do you think Shahanda genuinely loves her son, or was she just using him for money, type shit? And how much of YoungBoy's trust issues and relationship problems stem from this childhood trauma? Drop your thoughts in the comments, no cap. If you learned something new today, hit that like button, fam. Subscribe if you ain't already part of the hip-hop history family, for real. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive, gang. Check out the other videos on screen for more stories about hip-hop's biggest artists and the pain behind their success, homie. This is hip-hop history, keeping it 100 always type timing. Stay safe out there, fam. Peace, gang.